Great. So yeah, as many of you may have heard, we launched messaging back in February of this year. And so today, yeah, we want to just share some best practices with you all on how to set up messaging channels and how to drive awareness to those channels. But to start, wanted to just do a quick refresher of our offering at Zendesk for messaging. So, we really believe at Zendesk that messaging and customer experiences should be conversational. And essentially, customers really want to have the opportunity to have an ongoing, personalized, and effortless conversation with a business. And that is exactly what we're providing with our messaging solution. Whether it's on an app or on web or on social, we allow businesses to unlock all of these conversational experiences out of the box with the Zendesk suite. Yeah, messaging is today available with the suite, or you can also use messaging if you have support and our chat products. And we've also linked tiny little link at the bottom to our messaging webpage, which shares a lot more on our messaging solution and demo videos and all that great stuff too. So definitely encourage you all to check that out if you haven't seen it. Next. So yeah, when thinking about best practices for messaging, there's so much to consider, and we don't have a ton of time today. So today we're down, a couple of the best practices, mainly focused around channels. We all know there's so many messaging channels today. It's quite overwhelming. So we want to help you all to kind of think about a couple of things. Number one, which channel or channels should you enable for your business so customers can reach you over those channels? And then secondly, how to think about driving awareness of those support channels for your business. So how can you help your customers know that they can reach out to you on their preferred channels? So we're going to summarize some best practices on how to go about this and some key considerations. And then we're also going to show you a couple of demo videos on how to set up some of the more popular messaging channels. Next slide, please. So yeah, in terms of the first aspect of this, in terms of figuring out which channels you should enable for your business, break it down in 4 key categories. And so the first category is kind of thinking about like your digital presence or like kind of your, online digital storefront. So how are your customers engaging with you and finding you today in terms of your online presence? And then from there, thinking about sort of the various channels and ways you can engage those customers online on those channels. The second is, kind of thinking about your channel mix. So like, what are the existing support channels that you offer today? And then specific to messaging, in terms of things like agent availability and customer preferences, like how can you think about, enabling messaging to fit those needs and considerations based on what you can offer today. Another consideration is, your region. And so there are so many channels globally as well. And there are some specific social channels that are popular in specific regions. So we want to help you to kind of understand those nuances and how to think about potentially rolling out support on those channels to help your regional based customers engage with you. And then your industry, there's sort of nuances based on your industry that you're in as well, and some key considerations to keep in mind there as well. So let's dive in. So firstly, we have sort of your digital presence, and breaking it out into web, mobile, and social. So to start with web, there's a lot of considerations you could kind of think about when you're thinking about, should you offer support on your web, and if so, on what pages? So, if your website has been getting a lot of traffic, think about on which pages are customers kind of looking for support on, which pages are getting a lot of traffic. If you're an e-commerce business, where are customers making purchases or making critical decisions? And yeah, like essentially, what are some of the pages or the areas of your website that are most relevant to customer support? And so you can kind of think about those questions and considerations and think about, where you might put it on your website. So quick summary on your web. Now in terms of mobile, if you have like a mobile app, that's a great opportunity to embed in our Android or iOS SDK to offer support on your mobile app, so customers can message you on mobile, and then if they have to run, they can continue the conversation on another channel like web. And then lastly, social. So we're going to talk a lot about social channels today and how to kind of consider which ones to roll out for your business. But yeah, essentially, if your customers are reaching out on social, what are some of the most popular social channels? Or we'll talk about this in the next few slides, but based on region or industry, what are some of the social channels that customers prefer, and how to think about potentially going about enabling those social channels for your business. For social channels as well, like for WhatsApp, you can consider adding your WhatsApp business phone number to support pages. Consider adding the WhatsApp button to your website or to your mobile app. Okay, so I'm gonna pass it over to Panchaya, who's gonna talk a little bit more about channel mix best practices.
Thanks, Hannah. So yeah, number one was your digital storefront. Another thing to consider, number two, is basically your channel mix, right? What are all the different channels that you want to support for your customers? And a few key factors that you should keep in mind is they're all around the staffing, how many agents can you support, how available they are, and your customer preferences. Like Hannah mentioned earlier, some customers may want to reach out to you on social channels more so than web. So those are all important things to consider. And depending on the nature of your business, you can explore different options that we have on the side. Maybe you want to be able to provide 24-hour support for your customers. In that case, a channel like live chat is perfect for that. But as some of you may be familiar, live chat is very much session-based. So someone comes in, they chat with your agent. After it's done, the conversation history gets wiped completely. So depending on how much you can support, another option is to also leverage a more persistent messaging channel, which is something that we do provide. With that, it's persistent. The chat history is always available, so it doesn't only benefit your customers, but also your agents. Full context, no matter when they pop in, all the things that they have talked about are all in there. Another option could be a mix. You may want to provide live chat during your business hours, and maybe outside of those hours, your agents are a little bit limited. So for those cases, you can look into doing a mixture of live chat and email, or even automated bots, right? When they come in, a customer at least sees some response from your bot. Hey, these are basic questions that we can answer. An agent will be available with you once business hours continues. The third option is maybe you're just starting and your agents aren't available for live support just yet. So a good fallback option for this would be an email or some other forms that a customer can fill in. And with that, you can set your expectations of your typical response time, and then have someone reach out to your customers accordingly. So on the next slide, Hannah will cover your third factor.
Yeah, great. So yeah, as we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of regional considerations to keep in mind when thinking about all of the channels, all the social messaging channels out there today. So let's break down like some of the more popular channels based on region and what we've been seeing in some of our research here at Zendesk. So starting with North America, we've seen that Facebook Messenger has actually one of the most popular social channels in terms of customer support and preferences. So I've definitely used Facebook Messenger recently to get in touch with a business and get support. And yeah, and it's been a really popular channel, as we've seen. And we saw that half of companies that are offering messaging support in North America are relying on Facebook Messenger, and 41% are using web messaging. So statistics, and then iMessage and Instagram DM have also kind of gone up in the rankings as well. And speaking of Instagram DM, we're excited to share that we did recently roll out support for Instagram DM through. That's become a very popular channel, especially for certain industries like e-commerce and retail, which Panchaya is going to talk about a little bit later. Moving over to APAC. So APAC is really interesting in that there are some actual specific regional favorites in that region, like WeChat in China, Kakao in Korea, and Line in Japan. So, if you have a presence there, definitely consider sort of those unique channels for those regions as well. And then in terms of EMEA, we've seen Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp popularity there, but there are also some regional favorites in EMEA as well, including Viber, which is a popular channel in Eastern Europe. So customers in EMEA say that when they reach out to companies over messaging channels, they prefer to use social messaging apps, text, or messaging directly through a website or mobile app. And then finally, in LATAM, by far and large, the most popular channel has been WhatsApp. So customers in LATAM are filling more tickets over WhatsApp than all regions combined, and the channel saw volume increase 96% over the last year, which is really significant. Other Facebook channels are popular as well, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, but again, WhatsApp has seen a huge spike. And we're definitely going to do a bit of a WhatsApp demo a little bit later in the presentation as well. So back over to you.
Cool. All right, last factor for your channel's consideration. So industry definitely should be a determining factor of which channels you consider, because not every industry is the same, right? And customer preferences will vary as well. So if you're in financial services or healthcare, as you know, security and timeliness are really important for customers. So a common solution that would be perfect for a company is maybe an embedded messaging on their website or even their mobile app. I'm sure all of us have, one of those mobile banking apps on our phone, really convenient. Someone's there to respond to you right away, because when it comes to money, who has time to wait, right? Another thing that we've seen pretty common is businesses can also use a secure third-party apps with a verified business profiles like WhatsApp. So you're not just messaging some Joe Schmo who's trying to take your money. It's actually the business that you want to message. Now moving on to a different kind of industry. If you're in e-commerce or retail, personalization is really key. And based on research that we've done, we found that over 78% of customers say that personally relevant content actually helps increase their purchase intent a lot. And that same aspect of personalization can also help increase their average order value, and they're less likely to just abandon the cart. So a common channel that we see for businesses or typical embedded chat on the website. Maybe Steph is browsing some things that she wants to buy, and she's like, you know what, this is too expensive, I'm just gonna drop. And then all of a sudden this widget magically pops up. It's like, wait, where are you going? Come back, how can we help? So that's one use case. Another really common one that we see, like Hannah touched on earlier, is with e-commerce and retail, we're seeing more and more customers contact businesses on social channels. Believe it or not, I am a victim of one of those. I think a few weeks ago, I bought something for the first time through an Instagram ad. And hey, if I can message a business through the Instagram business page, then it makes it that much easier for me, right? So during the demo section, you'll see how when a customer direct messages a business, it feeds into the agent workspace for the business, and it's all integrated in one place. So it's really easy for us to manage. But yeah, so financial services and healthcare, those are really important when it comes to security, e-commerce and retail. You have a whole set of use cases. And then last example that I want to give in the industry consideration is maybe something like manufacturing, or just your typical technology and software. So if you're in manufacturing, sometimes having the ability to proactively notify your customers of an upcoming maintenance or when something's ready can really help with customer satisfaction. So a common thing that we've seen businesses do is they would actually leverage WhatsApp, and they would use that to proactively notify their customers and give them updates, and customers can actually opt in to receive those updates. So pretty similar to when you subscribe to an email, but it's a lot more timely because it's right in your phone and it's through a phone number and an app that you already use to communicate with your friends. So that's a lot. We went through quite a few things, but just to recap before we move on to another section. So 4 things that you should consider when picking the right channel for your business: your digital presence or your digital storefront, the channel mix, right? Social, web, mobile, all that good stuff. Regions, different regions, customers have different preferences. And then the last one that I just went over is industry. All really important things. So moving on to the next section. Now that you've nailed your channels, it's time to also make sure that your customers know where they can reach you. So a few examples that Hannah will go over on the next slide are so.
Yep. Yep. So moving right along. So yeah, once you have those, those understanding of those channels that you want to support for your business, it's actually really important to make sure that customers are aware that you do offer support over those channels, and they know where they can go to reach out to your business. And so we've pulled some examples here on sort of how you can drive awareness of those channels and offering support over those channels. And so thinking about sort of on your website, various ways you can embed a CTA or call out specific channels on your website and on various places on your website, like your help center. Also thinking about social, on Facebook, how to call out, the channels that you offer support on your Facebook profile or your business page on Facebook. And then also through marketing as well, like email, newsletters, and things like that. So the next slide, Panchaya, I think, is going to run through some more specifics on all of those.
Yep. So starting with the first one, a call to action button on your website. Hopefully the screen is big enough for y'all to see. So for this example, it's the WhatsApp contact us button, right? But in the demo section, we'll show you can do it for anything. If you know that a lot of your customers like to message you on Facebook Messenger, you can go through the setup flow and then grab the code, put on your website, and then bam, that's the main channel that customers can reach out to you to. So your website for your help center is really similar, but of course there's more real estate. It's the main place that people come to you to get help. So you can do a mixture. On the top right, you can have a CTA to submit a ticket, and then it goes through your, old-fashioned, like there's a form fill, and then an agent can reach out, and it's based on email. Or in the bottom of the page, you can also add social widgets. So here in an example, we have all the key ones, right? Facebook, even LinkedIn for some businesses, and Twitter. And then the third example is you can also make sure to let your customers know on your social channels. So we grabbed an example from MailChimp. And if you take a look at their Facebook page, they have all the options for a customer. It doesn't even matter what you prefer. They all have it. Their website, their Twitter, their Instagram, their LinkedIn, even their Pinterest and the YouTube page. So really, really great way to give your customers all those options, and they know that no matter which way they reach out, you're always available. So super handy. And then last but not least, on the next slide, you can even promote your digital presence through your email signature, right? Have your sales folks do it, have your support guys do it. I think as a follow-up, we can also make sure we have those Help Center articles that walk you through how to do it. Pretty simple, set up your email signature, and there are also additional ways for people to reach out to you. So with all those examples on the slide, I think all of you are itching to actually see them in action. So we're gonna move right along to the demo section. And Hannah, just to check, yep. Can you share your screen now, or?
Yeah, let me try doing that again. I was having some issues earlier, but let me see.
I feel like it wouldn't be a community event if we didn't have a small little technical glitch.
Is that?
We can definitely see it.
Works.
That's great.
All right, let me just back this up and make sure. Okay. Just gonna turn the volume down. So I think we mentioned earlier, but we are going to be sharing out this deck with you all after the webinar. So you all will be able to go back in and take a look at these videos that we're going to share today. And I'm just going to kind of skim through and do a voiceover of what we're going to be seeing. So let me just get everything queued up here. All right, so we're going to start by doing a quick walkthrough of how to set up WhatsApp in Zendesk. So you're going to go into the admin center when you're signed into your Zendesk account, and you're going to go up and add channel to the channel selector and click on WhatsApp. Once you're here, you're going to navigate to the WhatsApp setup flow, where you can authenticate your Facebook business profile. So let's see. And then once you've done that, you'll want to link the profile to your company's business manager. And then actually here is where you can select your Facebook business account for your WhatsApp number, and you can select an existing account or a new one and then continue. So just moving right along. And then on to step 2, you can select the WhatsApp business profile you want to share with Zendesk. So sharing that. And then on to this step is where you'll see if you have your WhatsApp business number, it'll pop up there. And then you'll need to assign a unique channel name to the WhatsApp channel you're connecting to. And now you're all set up. And this is where you can go back in the admin center and make edits and changes to your channel name, your business profile. You can also add the WhatsApp contact us button to your website. So as Kantria was showing earlier, how to do that. And then here is where you can enable an autoresponder as well. So this message would show up if a customer were to reach out, and you can let them know that you're available. And this is the WhatsApp contact us button. So you can make some edits to that, change the color, the size of the font and things like that, and add that code snippet to your website to help customers know that they can reach you on WhatsApp. All right. So that was just a short overview of WhatsApp. Now I'm going to try to share our other video here. Let's see. Okay. Let's try to make this bigger. Okay, so trying to reach the support team and turn the volume of my voice. So this is a demo video also on WhatsApp, but it's actually showing the end user and agent experience. So this is a demo account on Zendesk called Eatery, a food delivery company. And we're looking at the mobile experience. So this is showing a user browsing Eatery's mobile website. You can see just earlier, should have caught it, the WhatsApp contact us button at the very top here. So the user has clicked on that to contact Eatery about an order that they placed. So they're reaching out now to Eatery's WhatsApp business phone number. This is showing the autoresponder that we just showed previously on how to get that set up. So Eatery is saying they'll be in touch soon when there's an agent available. So, oh, sorry about that. So this is switching over to the agent side of things. So on the agent side of things, the agent will want to make sure to mark themselves available or mark themselves as online to accept incoming messages over social channels like WhatsApp. And here you can see the agent side of the conversation. So the agent has other conversations open up at the top. And you can see that in those open tabs there. And you can see the conversation open with the customer, Lindsay, here. So the agent can craft a response to Lindsay, and everything is sent in real time. So it's very much like having, you know, a live conversational experience back with the customer. And so, yeah, it's super easy for the agent to respond. Also wanted to point out here on the right side of the screen, the agent has all of the customer's contact information and previous interactions with the business. So they have all of the context at their fingertips to know, you know, exactly who this customer is and previous issues or updates they've reached out about. So here, the agent is going to switch the conversation to email because they want to share, the customer asked for an updated invoice over her email. And so the agent can actually do that really easily in Agent Workspace. Just simply switch the conversation to email, share the invoice as an attachment, and the customer can be on their way. And again, email not being a messaging channel, but this is a very normal real life example of a customer needing to have that channel switching and the agent being able to do that super seamlessly. And then the agent actually reaches back out over WhatsApp to and via macro to let the customer know that they just sent over the email, click send, and it was a super seamless, easy, fast conversation with the customer. So that is showing, again, the end user and agent side of WhatsApp in Zendesk. Let's see. Go back over to.
And real quick, I want to notice we are getting a couple questions in the Q&A section. Fantastic questions, by the way, everyone. And if you have questions, keep those coming. We're going to go over them a little bit more at the end of the event. But for those who have more feedback-related questions, because I noticed we had one of them pop in, we definitely want that feedback. And we definitely want that feedback to get to the people it needs to, which is our product team. So I did drop a link in the general chat. That would be the best place to post any type of feedback you have about messaging. But if you don't want to go ahead and post that, you can go ahead and send myself or Dave a DM, and we can go ahead and pass that feedback on for you as well.
Great.
So really quickly, this is our last slide. So similar to what Hannah went over, the setup flow, the agent experience for Instagram, very similar to WhatsApp. So we won't bore you with the same click, point. But as I mentioned earlier, if you're on Instagram, everyone's guilty of scrolling and messaging the business. When you do that as an end user, you send them a DM, it pops right in the agent experience. And, you know, as a support business or any like social marketing organization, it's very, very easy for businesses to manage all in one place. So gone are the days of having one phone for WhatsApp and maybe another account for email, and you're just like, I'm so frustrated, I can't manage everything. So I think we're in a good spot to open it up for more questions if people have any on the demo.
Yeah, we definitely had a few questions come in. I think the first one was from Raphael, which was more of a feedback question, but we can go ahead and start with that. And his question was, how can we differentiate multiple accounts for the same channel and trigger conditions when both are linked to the same brand? And the example he gave is like 2 different WhatsApp numbers in the same brand, which need different routing and categorization, like different regions or different languages. And we did respond to that, but maybe we can kind of cover that a little bit more in depth. Stephanie, you actually posted an answer. Would you like to go ahead and reply on or kind of explain your response?
Yeah, sure. So Raphael, you're not the only one asking this, but I really do appreciate you posting this because the more requests we get, the higher priority we can assign to things. That's how it works in product most of the time. And so, yeah, you offer different options for that. But at this time, it's only available by assigning a brand. What we're looking to do is you would be able to pick the channel name that you've assigned when you're setting up your channel. And that's how you could filter everything. So you'd work off your channel name.
And again, Raphael, we did drop a link into the chat of where like any kind of feedback and messaging needs to go. So if you want to go ahead and share your feedback there, that would be fantastic. But again, if not, and you'd like us to pass that along, we can definitely do that for you. We just got a question also in the normal general chat. By the way, love these questions, love the engagement. Keeping the questions in the Q&A section though helps us kind of categorize the questions from the answers a little bit better, and we get a receipt of it at the end of the event. So if you have questions, try to post them there, but we will address these ones that came in the normal chat. Dalen asked, how is the data on this logged for analytics when an agent is switching between different channels? Transparency on that would be super helpful, meaning for Explore data analysis.
Not sure if we can report on the channel switching right now in Explore. I don't know if anyone else on the line knows for sure, but it's a great question. And it's really helpful to know that that would be that level of transparency would be helpful. We can definitely follow up on that and double check that. But as far as I know, I don't know if that is something that specific level of in terms of seeing how an agent is channel switching and things like that is a possibility.
And then for those questions that are a little bit more involved and might take us a little bit of time to answer, this is something that we're going to go ahead and publish in our summary article of all the Q&A that's going to be taking place today and at next week's event. So if you do have a question that you get posted that we can't really answer right now live on the fly, don't worry, we'll go ahead and assess that question and either let you know that that's something that we can't answer at this time, or we'll go ahead and post a response in our summary article that we're going to go ahead and publish after our Q&A. But let's keep going through these few questions that we're getting right now. We did have one just come in from Yasmin, and she asks, I'm currently on WebWidget Classic, and if I switch to Zendesk Messaging, what will the WebWidget look like on the website? I like that currently there are 3 options: live chat, messaging, and call. Can you keep this within Zendesk Messenger?
I can potentially take a stab at that one if you like. So in the Zendesk Messaging widget today, out of the box, the only option that you have is to have the conversation start through messaging. You can carry it over to another channel, such as email, and soon you'll be able to carry the conversation over to other channels, Facebook and Instagram. That's coming in the next couple of weeks, I believe. It's not like it's the exact same way that the chat widget presents it. It's not something that you can do from the beginning. It's something that happens depending on how the conversation goes. So there is a different behavior, but you can sort of achieve the same thing but through a different behavior. You can offer the option just at a later stage in the conversation, depending on the customer's needs. Because I just wanted to actually answer another question that came through from Rudolph, which I was going to send a reply to, but I pushed the wrong button. So I'm just going to go ahead and answer Rudolph's question as well. He had asked if the autoresponder can be sent in different languages. Does it work with dynamic content? So there's 2 parts to that question. The first part is, does the autoresponder support dynamic content? The answer to that is no. I will send a Help Center article that clarifies some of that. However, does messaging work with the dynamic content? The answer is yes. So there's a new functionality called Flow Builder that comes a part of messaging, and we do support dynamic content for the flows that you create within Flow Builder. Again, I can share some Help Center articles on that topic after as a follow-up.
I'll just add on the dynamic content portion. Under the composer, there is just one field. It's not quite dynamic content, but it will allow you to substitute in the name that the customer provided on that channel. So not perfect, but it should be a stopgap if that's the content you're looking to fill in.
Great. And by the way, I do want to address Yasmin. You never have to apologize about asking questions about Zendesk products. Like, that's what we're here for. We want to be able to help you guys succeed in our products with the tasks and the things that you want to accomplish. So ask those questions, whether it's here, the community, wherever it is. We want to know what you guys want to know, so that way we can help you. And so on that note, let's go ahead and drill into your question, Yasmin. Is there a way to edit the answer bot before it goes live on the website? That might be one we might need to go ahead and carry over to next week if we can.
Well, I can.
Go ahead, Steph.
Okay. I can just say that when you're setting up AnswerBot, you can already set all of the answers that you want it to provide. Also, you can use a sandbox environment if you have that as part of your plan. So there are a few ways that you can trial this out before you actually go live on your website.
We're also going to be, oh, go ahead, Paul.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, in terms of customization, we have some things on the roadmap too, in terms of being able to customize the answer bot name and things like that. So yeah, that is on the roadmap. And then you have Flow Builder, which allows you to build those custom flows based on the types of questions and links to your help center and things like that.
I did accidentally move your question to answered, Marina, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it right now for you. And it's quick. That's a really quick question. Is it possible to filter out messages that are not necessarily support tickets? Sometimes customers just want to say hi and show their support, but they're not really questions.
So that would be a perfect use case for a bot. They can give options to your customer to let them know like what topic do they want to cover. If they don't want to continue the conversation, they just won't answer that, and so it won't create the ticket in Zendesk. I think that's probably the easiest way, and we've seen that a lot with Instagram, for example, people replying to stories, that kind of thing. So that's probably the best suggestion there.
So at this point, we have like 3 more questions. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the questions at this point, and I'm going to be dropping a link to our next event, which is purely your Q&A on messaging. So if you do have further questions, I really do recommend registering for that event. When you register, it will prompt you on what question you want to ask, and we will go ahead and over the next week, we'll be answering those questions and getting those ready for our Q&A that's going to be taking place next week. We also will be answering Q&A questions like this live as well, but to make sure your question gets answered, we do recommend registering, submitting that question ahead of time. That lets us look over the question and really give you a nice, robust answer on what it is that you're asking. But our next question that we have is there, and this, I'm going to actually address this one here. So roadmap questions happen every single event that we have, and roadmap questions are things that we really don't want to talk about without the product team here. For 2 reasons. One, roadmaps change. As things change and development continues, it can really adjust the roadmap on what's taking place. That being said, Richard, I can tell that this is really a feedback question that our product team probably should look at this kind of question. And I can go ahead and take that over to them so that way they're aware that this is something that you'd like to address with them. But that being said, we never really like to talk about the roadmap without the product team here, because it's not fair to promise things without them being the ones who are going to be delivering on those promises. So we love our product team, but we don't want to throw them under the bus when they're not here to defend what they're going to be developing, what they can.
And that's a beautiful answer. We appreciate it.
With that being said, we are starting to also roll out feedback events that are specifically product managers gathering feedback on certain topics. So when those do arise and we do publish those kind of events, keep your eye out for that, because when they want to hear that feedback, they definitely want to get all the feedback they can get on the topic that they're going to be covering. But let's move on to the next question that's not specifically aimed at product feedback. And that is, can you explain the end user experience when a customer switches channels? For example, maybe they start on social channel. Will they get an email that includes a transcript of the convo? Can they pick up the convo there? Would they see the same convo in the web widget if they went there another day? So kind of encapsulating what's the user's experience on their end. And that one's from Amy.
I can take a stab at that one as well. Amy, for like, there's 2 parts to your question actually, because we did talk about the availability to switch between the Zendesk messaging widget and social channels. We haven't actually released that capability yet. It's coming in the next couple of weeks. When we do, details on what that experience is actually going to look like will be published inside of the Help Center. So you'll be able to see sort of, how it works, what the setup experience looks like, as well as what the end user experience looks like. What we do support today, which I am about to send you a Center article on, is what we call continuous conversations, or what we also call internally like re-engagement over email. And inside that article that I just shared with you, and hopefully everybody else can see it as well, is details on how that actually works. Without going into too much technical detail, like the idea is that a customer, like an end user on the messaging widget, might say hi and get distracted, go about their day or something. And after a certain period of time, if an admin has set up their messaging widget to that continuous conversations feature, then that conversation will actually go continue, like the customer will see a transcript of the conversation be sent to them by email. They can reply to that conversation by email, and an agent will see all of that threaded inside of the agent workspace with all the context, the conversation history. It'll be carried over even if the customer responds to a conversation that started through messaging, but continued through email. So hopefully that was clear. Probably a visual would help. So hopefully if you can just pull up that Help Center article, it should help. I think we have a demo of it as well, because I put one together for What's New a couple quarters ago. So we might be able to share that after the event as well.
Awesome. And then I think this will be the last question that we covered today. And it's from Christopher. And he asks, we use the support SDK. I'm worried about an influx of tickets if we switch to the messaging SDK in our apps and overloading our agents with live chats or our offline tickets. Do you recommend using both?
Take a stab at this one, and Steph, you can keep me honest. But I think this is another perfect use case for bots, right? Really great way to triage questions that you think can be handled by bots, so you can save more time for your agents to focus on what matters. So if you haven't implemented bots just yet, we highly recommend.
I would just add, I don't want to change your answer at all, but viewing this a little bit differently, if you're going to introduce a new channel as a business, my concern wouldn't be so much, oh my God, what is this influx? It would be more, how come I wasn't getting these questions before? Because these are probably all customers trying to reach my business, and I haven't made it possible for them. So if you reframe it, it might help you better justify launching these SDKs if you really feel like there's a gap in your solution right now for your customers.